Hi students, welcome to Vijayata IAS Academy Current Affairs class. Today's date is February 25th, 2022. In today's newspaper, the main highlighted issue is about Russia declares war on Ukraine. In this news, it covers what is the defense of Russia and on what basis it is defending its action and how Ukraine is responding to this crisis. First, we will see the news. The news is about Russia's invasion. Russia launched an all-out invasion of Ukraine by land, air and sea. So this is the situation where it launched strikes against Ukraine from its borders on three sides, at three levels, on land also, air also and sea. And the special significance of this attack is it is the biggest attack by one state against another in Europe since Second World War. So this is the major aspect in this news. Since Second World War, there was no act of aggression or no country invaded other country. Because after Second World War, new world order emerged where United Nations became the main international body which tried to control or which tried to solve the issues between states. Now, before Second World War, Europe entered into catastrophic wars like World War I and World War II. World War II started when Hitler of Germany invaded Poland. So now, after Second World War, world tried to create different mechanism to stop such kind of aggressive activities. But now after Second World War, it is the first time that one European country invaded other European country. So this is confirming the worst fears of the West. For the last few days, West is always warning that Russia is moving its troops to the borders of Ukraine. At any point of time, Russia can invade Ukraine. This is the fear of West. Now it is confirmed that Russia's troop movement, Russia was only maintaining that these troops moved only for exercises, military exercises purpose. But West was trying that it is not for military exercises, it is to invade Ukraine. Now that statement became true. Now Russia launched attacks from all the three frontiers like air and land and sea also. Here you can see Crimea was annexed in 2014 by Russia. Now Crimea is also used as base to launch attacks on Ukraine. Russian missile rained down on Ukraine cities, much to the shock of international community. Ukraine is saying that columns of troops pouring across its borders into eastern part of these regions, landing by sea at the cities of this south. So from the eastern side through land and from sea from the southern side. From these three sides it is launching attacks. Explosion could be heard before dawn. In the early morning itself, Ukraine capital Kyiv heard the explosions. So this is the news. Now how Ukraine is responding to this. Now what is the response what is the shock that is expressed by different leaders. Ukraine president, he said that Vladimir Putin's aim was to destroy his state. Ukraine foreign minister said there is a war of aggression. Ukraine will defend itself and will win. World can and must stop Putin. Now you can see it will have repercussions, it will have catastrophic consequences. Now Russia is attacking. Now Ukraine also defend its country. Now all out war started. Now it will create a situation where people are going to die, and also it will create refugee situation as well. For the past few weeks, analysis of this situation was if there is any war, then it will lead to deaths of civilians and also it will lead to creation of refugee crisis, that again after the war so much consequences will take place and entire world economy or entire world will have to face these consequences. Now impact, at least 8 people had been killed and 9 were wounded by Russian shelling, an advisor to Minister Internal said. So as of now, this is the situation when this news was printed. How Russia is defending its decision. Putin's defense was a special military operation. He is saying that it is not a war, it is not an invasion, it is only a special military operation to protect people, including Russian citizens who had been subjected to genocide in Ukraine. So this is the defense Mr. Putin is giving for his act of aggression. An accusation the West has long described as absurd propaganda. West is only saying that it is only a propaganda and it is only taking it as a pretext to invade Ukraine. And for this, we will strive for demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine. Now you will see these two terms, demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine. These are the two terms used by Mr. Putin for his act of aggression. To demilitarize, because he is saying Ukraine is a threat to Russia. So now he wants to safeguard Russia from the threat from Ukraine. Demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine. And also just before this particular act of aggression, he already declared that these two parts are independent republics. Now he is striking these parts in defense of these newly formed republics. Russia's defense ministry said ministry destroyed 83 Ukraine land-based targets and achieved all its goals. So this is the defense of Russia. So now what is the immediate India's concern? Immediate India's concern is there are Indian medical students, Indian citizens are there, mainly Indian medical students are there. Now the main immediate challenge for India is to bring back these students safely back to home. However, the problem is airspace closed for commercial flights. When India trying to bring these students through flights, but flights are stopped because of emergency situation. So this is the major challenge. Now how India will safeguard its citizen and what is the Ukraine's response or Ukraine plea towards India. So now these are the issues. In the next news it is covered. Now we combine this also as part of this news. PM calls. Our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, he appealed for an immediate ceasefire and a return to dialogue in a conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin. So in a call between Prime Minister and President, he appealed for immediate ceasefire and a return to dialogue in a conversation. Mr. Putin briefed Mr. Modi about Russian decision to attack several locations in Ukraine, adding that the safe exit of Indian citizens, our immediate challenge is to bring back our nationals safely. So Mr. Putin's safe exit of Indian citizens from the conflict zone was India's highest priority. So India highlighted that India's highest priority is to safe exit of Indian citizen. So now conversation between our Prime Minister and Putin also took place. Prime Minister Modi reiterated his long-standing conviction that differences between Russia and NATO group can only be resolved through honest and sincere dialogue. This is always the position of India. Since this crisis started, India always maintained that always differences should be sorted out with honest and sincere dialogue. Only peaceful resolution is the solution. War is not a solution, and peaceful resolution is the only mechanism to solve any grievance. If Russia has grievances, only diplomacy can solve. If Ukraine has grievances, only diplomacy can solve it. Prime Minister also sensitized the Russian President to India's concern regarding the safety of Indian citizens in Ukraine. So on one hand, we have to safeguard our citizen. On the other hand, now we have to think about the consequences also. We should give a statement more sensitively that it will not affect India's core interest, India's security in future. So this is the situation where Cabinet Committee on Security also held a meeting. So now we have to see about what is this Cabinet Committee on Security, what is the purpose and what it discussed in this meeting. He reiterated that safety of Indians in the conflict zone was the topmost concern. What is this Cabinet Committee on Security? It talks or it It has a mandate to solve the issues related to law and order, internal security, policy matters related to foreign affairs, agreements with other countries on security, economic and political issues on national security. Now you can think of these functions. Now this is the situation where this particular situation is going to have a lot of implications. Security wise, political, international political level, and international economic level also, this is going to have catastrophic consequences. Now India should be ready to face these consequences, and India should be prepared how to respond to this newly emerging situation. So this is why Cabinet Committee on Security held a meeting, and it talks about emerging security implications and also about India's economic and political interests. Now this situation is going to create a difficult position for many countries whom to support, whether India supports Russia or whether India supports Ukraine. Now, if India supports Russia, it becomes supporting an act of aggression. But India is against this act of aggression. Now, if you do not support Ukraine, now Ukraine is a victim in this case. Now, if you are not victim, in future, if India requires support from other countries may take it as an example that whenever India in need, now other countries also may not give full support. So this is the situation not only for India, China and small countries, third world countries or middle income countries, developing countries. This is a difficult situation for them on how to respond to this new kind of conflict. Now India is located in this part. Now India is already facing situation crisis on its borders. So from Pakistan, from the northwestern part, and from the north and eastern part from China. Now India is having its own internal security issues, and it has its own challenges at external borders. Now whenever India needs support from old countries, whenever there is act of aggression from the borders, now India should get the support from old countries. Now Ukraine position is now this. Now Ukraine wants support from other countries. Now it is pleading India also to support its cause. However, India is having good relations with Moscow. Russia is always all-weather friend for India. Now how this kind of situation? Now it is going to be a case study for Indian Foreign Service students as well. Those who want to join Indian Foreign Service and those who will get post in Indian Foreign Service. Now you can closely observe how India will respond to this kind of crisis. How Indian diplomats should be alert and how Indian diplomacy should be conducted in this kind of situation. Plea from Ukraine envoy to India. Now Ukraine is weak comparing with Russia. Ukraine's military power is weak comparing with Russia. Ukraine alone cannot challenge the position of Russia. It needs support from other countries as well. So here Ukraine envoy to India also pleaded India to get the support. Here he said India's mediation to stop the bloodshed. Envoy's plea, we are deeply dissatisfied with the Indian position. Now it will have difficult position for India. Now India cannot condemn Russia also. India cannot give full support for Ukraine also. Now it will have response from Ukraine's envoy also. He pleaded India had forcefully pressed for India's mediation to stop the bloodshed. So it is requesting. Already 10 to 15 people were killed. He is saying we are asking or pleading for the strong voice of India. In this case, Prime Minister Modi ji can address Mr. Putin. He can address our president. So this is the request or plea from Ukraine envoy to India. This is not the time for protocol bound statements. Our officials said they are closely watching the situation. This means nothing according to him. India is the founding member of non-alignment. We plead for the support of India. India was the founder member of non-alignment. It should have its own view according to Ukraine envoy to India. He is pleading India to support Ukraine in these cases. In this case, it's the moment of truth, moment of destiny, said the ambassador. However, Our foreign secretary said no disappointment has been conveyed by Ukraine officials to India. So our foreign secretary, now it is a challenge for everyone, to our foreign minister, to starting with the prime minister, foreign minister, our foreign secretaries, and our representatives at United Nations also. Every statement in this situation is going to be matter. Every statement at every level will have its consequences. Ukraine versus Russia. Mr. Ambassador confirmed that Russia has launched military assault from three sides. That ground invasion had also begun early on Thursday. Ambassador said there was a possibility of the conflict turning into a bigger war in the coming days. The Russian side claimed that strikes are being carried out with high precision weapons to minimize civilian casualties. So this situation now, how India should respond, and how whatever we respond will have consequences. Every statement should be calibrated one. Now Ukraine is trying to garner the support of India. So in this context, Russia invaded Ukraine. Now Ukraine's envoys now at different levels. Now Ukraine is a member country of United Nations. It is also one of the founding members of United Nations. It tries to sensitize its cause at United Nations level also. It tries to sensitize in other countries, Western European countries. It tries to sensitize countries like China and India as well to get the support and stop the aggression of Russia. But Ukraine envoy expressed concern about the safety of civilians and Indian students under the shadow of the conflict. Pressed for urgent intervention from the international community, NATO, European Union and India. So this is the situation. Ukraine is requesting help from these quarters. Now NATO, European Union, India. Now India is having a crisis. Now how to handle this crisis? We are not dictating to our friends, he is saying. We are pleading that you can provide us military, diplomatic or any other kind of assistance. Whatever may be the assistance they can give, Ukraine is requesting it. He said very few countries in the world could influence Russia, and India was one of those nations with special ties with Moscow. India is having good relations with Russia. Now take this as advantage and please help us. Ukraine is asking India, help us and stop this war. So this is the news. In next news, we will try to understand what is the response from different parts of the world. This is the news. Russia declared war on Ukraine. Now response from Ukraine. Now how Ukraine is pleading or requesting help from other countries, because Ukraine alone cannot handle Russia's military. So in this news, this is covered about Ukraine's request for India. Now India's immediate challenge is to bring back Indian nationals safely back home. And now next level is how to handle this crisis, because every statement given by every officer or every authority in India will have consequences in future, because this is a situation. It's a kind of situation for the first time since the Second World War. One European country is attacked by other country. So this is the news in this particular news. Thank you.